Here's Rotters!
Legends, welcome along to Here's Rotters Reviews. In this episode, we're getting into the Transformers Season 2, Generation 1, the classic series. This episode is Mech Tracks, and for once, for the first time in a series of reviews on any of the Transformers cartoons of Generation 1, I've actually decided to take a little look inside the booklet for the DVD. And just to see what the episode says, because I tend to do this with the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but I haven't done it with this so far. And in this booklet for Mech Tracks, it says, Trax is shot down in a dogfight above the city. He is found and repaired by a street kid, Raoul. Together, they discover a group of illegal dealers selling stolen cars to the Decepticons and set out to stop them. Now, that's fairly accurate, apart from the start of that, where it says Trax is shot down in a dogfight above the city. That doesn't happen in this episode. I don't know where the heck. I've said it before in some of these booklets. It's just like some guy somewhere along the line had one job, and that job was to fill these booklets in and do a swift little 3 or 4 line synopsis of the episode. And very rarely, I find, do they get it 100% accurate. But basically, at the beginning of this episode, the Autobots, they're in New York City, and they're working with the police, the humans, as usual. And at the beginning, Trax, along with Blaster and Optimus Prime, foil a couple of people that are trying to steal cars, and they mistakenly steal Trax and go to sell him to a dealer, an illegal dealer. And while they're just about to get their payoff, Trax transforms along with Blaster, who's in radio form. Like he's like a ghetto blaster he transforms into, and like one of the robbers has him in hand and they're trying to run away. He transforms, stops him, and the dealer gets busted by Optimus Prime at the door, so they're arrested. Off they go, and the Autobots go to their temporary headquarters in this episode in New York City, which is like a workshop owned by Sparkplug. And Trax then decides that he's fallen in love with New York City. I can't blame him. I've been there. It's a fantastic city, brilliant. I would go back in a heartbeat. So Trax decides to head off on his own to get some fresh city air, and he transforms. Off he goes, and he's not out the door 2 minutes to another group of thieves try to steal him again. He makes a getaway, but he gets his tires shot out and he actually crashes into a lamppost. So that's how Raoul finds him in this episode and takes him to repair him. It's not a dogfight. He doesn't get shot down. He does get his tires blown out by a couple of thieves, but he's not in flight when this happens. So there you are. The booklet is slightly off. Essentially, these two, there's like a give and take sort of a thing. Raoul, he is like your street kid, wannabe gangster sort of a type, and he's trying to fix up Trax to sell him to the Geddes brothers. He says he'll pay through the nose for him, and of course Trax is like almost like his voice of conscience in this episode. He's trying to steer him right and whatnot. And at one point Raoul says, I could be doing something else instead of sitting here fixing you. If you want to get fixed, stay quiet. I could be out, tagging some walls and whatnot. And he's got like a tin of spray paint. And Trax is like, again, it's like, what? Graffiti? He's kind of like the father figure talking to the son, sort of a deal. But that tin of paint comes back onto the story later on. Anyway, Trax gets repaired, but key point, when Raoul starts the repair, he cuts this cable inside the engine compartment of Trax and shuts him down by mistake. And it turns out this cable is connected to his main computer, and without that, he's basically just, the Autobot robot form of him is shut down and he's just pretty much a normal car, is the way Trax puts it. But anyway, once the repairs are done, the Geddes brothers come looking for the car, and they're going to threaten this kid because he promised them a car at midnight. It's after midnight. They come there about to rough him up, and Trax transforms and saves him. They make a run for it, but Trax hears one of them saying that, I thought these big robot guys were on our side. So that tips him off to, are these guys working with the Decepticons? So he tries tracking these guys down, chasing them. And it's at this point in the episode he does. Trax is a car, but he's got like I wouldn't class him as a triple changer because this transformation isn't amazing. But basically his two wings come out from below the car, and he just flies as a car with two little wings and below him. I had the toy for Trax, and I'm pretty sure if I looked hard enough in storage about the house here, I'm pretty sure I could find him. But I can't recall the toy ever been classed as a triple changer. But yes, for a third transformation for a toy, wouldn't be a fantastic one. So in the episode, that's the only time he's in flight, when he's trying to track down these two gangsters that are stealing cars, or getting other people to steal cars for them. While he's tracking them down, of course, the other Autobots in the episode, they're out, hunting through the city just for any signs of Decepticon activity. And Cosmos and Paraglide, starting to forget their names here. Paraglide and Cosmos come across Starscream, and there's a little sequence where they're in a bit of a dogfight with him in the air, and then there's like a foot chase between the three of them, and eventually Starscream escapes, but they kind of get the gist of what direction he was heading on. So eventually they start to triangulate where the Decepticons are at, and it's all leading towards New Jersey. And of course pretty much everybody's finding out this destination at the same time. But Trax is just one step ahead of them, and he's actually at this Decepticon complex where he sees these cars getting lined up into like a factory production line sort of a deal. And he decides, okay, he's going to go down and park at the back of all these stolen cars just to see what's happening. And they are getting put into this factory to get changed into what turn out to be remote controlled drones of the Decepticons. The Constructicons are ripping them apart, rebuilding them, basically turning them into like transformers essentially, but mindless transformers that are remote controlled. And while Trax is in this factory and the Decepticons are starting to push the cars, and the cable from earlier on that disconnected his computer falls apart again, he shuts down, so Ral has to jump in, save Trax this time, and he actually confronts Megatron himself, and he's like, what the heck are you doing with my car? That's my car. Yeah, I've got an anti-theft device on it. It's called a bomb. So Megatron is like, okay, shuts down the whole factory, deactivate that bomb now. He's worried about his plan going south because of this kid and his car with a bomb on it. Excuse me. And of course, when Ryle goes to deactivate the bomb on Trax, he's really reconnecting the cables and reactivating Trax. And of course, Trax transforms, starts fighting against the Decepticons, but he's outnumbered by them. So thankfully for them, the other Autobots turn up and they're rescued, and they figure out the plan that Megatron is getting these cars, they're getting the humans to actually steal the cars and supply the cars to them, and then they're transforming them into remote controlled drones that they're going to set into New York City to attack it. The reason for which we never actually find out in the cartoon, but during the battles between these drones and the Autobots, the Autobots are in the city, and on the bridges leading into New York City, and they're trying to take these out. And at one point, in one of the city fights, if you look closely, there is a movie theatre, and outside there is, on the poster, the movie that they're actually showing in the theatre is Transformers, the movie. So was this a bit of foreshadowing for what Transformers the movie was going to be? Of course it was season 2. The movie came between season 2 and season 3. So the weirdest thing about it is a lot of the Transformers that are outside that cinema, that the poster is there, you see the fight happening, all the Autobots that are on the street at that time are the ones that don't make it through the movie. It's an interesting fact for a geek like myself. So basically by the end of the episode, the Autobots, they work out it's these drones are remote controlled. They break that connection and they all get to the factory where the Decepticons are at to confront Megatron. And while the battle is just about to start there, Raoul, who is feeling fairly guilty at this point, he's trying to make up for his actions, gets into the factory on his own, and he's about to, he's got like a metal bar in his hand, he's about to rack the computers in there, and he's copying Megatron, and Megatron comes out and he has Raoul by the scruff of his neck, and like he's hanging like a little, humans are pretty much just slightly bigger than the hands of a Transformer, and he's dangling there, just hovering above Megatron's chest, and like Megatron's using him as like like a ransom against the Autobots here. This kid is not going to survive if you keep doing what you're doing, sort of a deal. And this is where the tin of spray paint comes back into the story. Of course, he's hovering just above Megatron's chest, and he reaches under his coat, pulls out the tin of paint, hits this little button on Megatron's chest, and this compartment opens up and he sprays the paint into the inner workings of Megatron and completely disables him. At which point the Decepticons grab a hold of the disabled Megatron and make their escape, and the episode ends off with the Autobots having to repair the remaining stolen cars and return them to their owners. And Sparkplug, that's not his name, Sparkplug comments that even with Wheeljack, Ratchet, all the mechanically minded Autobots helping them, it's going to take weeks to get this sorted out. And this is where this kid, Raoul, decides, it's been nice meeting y'all, off I go. But Drax turns him around, puts him in there. It's like, if you're looking for a bit of direction in your life, you can start here. And the kid's like, some friend you are. And Drax is like, well, I'm going to help you out. So the two of them are at the end of the episode, bickering away the way they did since they met each other, but working together to sort out the problems of these cars. It is a fairly good episode. The fact that it was set in New York City, I really appreciate it, because at the point of recording this episode, it's weird that it's actually 2001 now. It's Saturday, September 11th, so that's a huge date worldwide, not just for New York but everybody. And it's just weird that I was watching this episode of the Transformers and you see New York City on this date. Just never forget, guys. The animation in this is good. It's not the best of the run of the Transformers. There's, if memory serves properly, there's a couple of different companies that animated Transformers. Definitely throughout season 1 and season 2, it was almost as if while the company was working on the one episode of Transformers, the other company was working on the other episode of Transformers, so they were kind of like split right down the middle. They were doing every other episode, so you tend to get one that was animated fantastically well, and then you get one that was not just as good as that one. So this is where this one dropped in that. There's a few little glitches in there with just the size of the Transformers, and during the foot chase between Starscream and Cosmos and Paraglide, Starscream actually runs into a shopping mall, but the doorway into the shopping mall is just the right size for Starscream to run through, but the windows and everything around it are like built for a human sized person to fit this doorway, but you've got Starscream going on, so the size, the aspect's just slightly off in places. There's one point where the Autobots are about to leave their headquarters to go after these drones, and Optimus Prime is, as far as like if you're watching on TV, he's closer to the screen, say, and Trax is actually behind him. But whenever they go to walk forward, Trax moves forward quicker than Optimus Prime does, and he kind of passes through him. If you're watching this, only for a few frames, but it's enough of a glitch to be like, you know, and I know I'm looking at this with adult eyes, it's a cartoon, it's for kids and whatnot, but you know, this is the sort of stuff I would have noticed back in the day as well. Like there's so many shows that I can think of that had these, and I even remember thinking to myself as a kid, oh, that's a bit weird. But beyond that, the episode is fantastic. There's sea sprays on there with a little environmental message as well. He's out there patrolling, looking for Decepticons, and he's just, you know, he actually helps this tow truck get a car out of the river, and he comments, you know, wish the humans would take better care of the rivers. So it's, you know, it's the Transformers. It's good versus evil. It's good morals been promoted at every opportunity. It is what it is. It's a great show. I absolutely love it. And if you're enjoying these episodes, please let me know in the comments. And if not, and you're still here at this point, you're a bad decision maker. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, don't forget to turn on that bell icon to be notified of future uploads. And please check out some of the other videos on this channel while you're here.